Hello everyone! Today I'm back in my Fantasia toy box, and you're probably wondering, what is going on? It's not Friday, this didn't start with the usual Toy Box Tutorials intro, and that is not Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey. Well, as I explained in my last episode of Toy Box Tutorials, Christmas and New Year's both fall on Fridays this year. And since I'm not going to upload any videos on those days, that means that this week will be my last episode of Toy Box Tutorials for the year. We are so close to finishing my Fantasia adventure that I decided I wanted to try to wrap it up before Christmas. And that's what I'm going to do, and that's why we're here today. Last time, we added this toy box door, which will lead to the third and final toy box in my Fantasia adventure. And we created a magic portal that appears when Mickey breaks the enemy's spell. That portal is really just a visual effect with a trigger area that invokes this toy box door. To finish the adventure, Mickey needs to go through the portal and confront the mysterious enemy who has taken advantage of all the confusion caused by Mickey's brooms and used that opportunity to raid the magician's castle. That enemy is going to be Time, and so that's why he's here with me today. And we'll head through the door here. On Friday, in our final lesson for this year, we're going to look at the boss battle spawner. But before we can do that, we need to build an arena for this battle, because right now, the toy box world that we created last time is completely empty. So today I'm here with Time, and we're going to build Time's castle. Now, unless you saw the 2016 movie, Alice Through the Looking Glass, you probably have no idea who Time is. This character has never appeared in any other Disney film, and since most people don't even know who he is, I think a lot of people didn't even bother to add him to their Disney Infinity collection. If you're playing on PC, you don't have access to him at all. I don't think the PC modders have figured out yet how to add him into the game. I never saw that movie and had no idea who he was, but I got him anyway just to complete my collection, and it turns out he's actually a fun character to play as. One of the benefits of having him is that he unlocks a new enemy in the boss battle spawner. I would have preferred to use Maleficent if she were available as an enemy, but she's not, so I'm going to use Time instead. I'll talk more about that on Friday, but for now, let's start building. And I'm going to begin by putting down the sky changer. And I'll just drop that over here. It doesn't really matter where I put this. And I'm also going to need the music box from the Gameplay Toys drawer, because I want to be able to mute the music so you can hear me a little better. I'll just drop that down over here. Alright, so in the sky changer, we'll go under the properties, and it's under Disney Infinity 1.0. And I believe, I think it's under 1.0. Might be under 2.0. Let me give that a try. I can't quite remember where this was. I thought I did. There it is, Misty Magic Sky. We'll use that. It's under 2.0. So that's the sky I'm going to use for this little world that we're going to visit for our boss battle. And then I'll come under the boombox, and I'll set this to silence. Alright. I'm going to set the theme for this terrain to be the Golden Realm of Asgard, and this is from the Assault on Asgard 2.0 game. And I'm going to leave this terrain piece, although we're not going to use it as a floor. I'm using it because it provides a nice long wall that doesn't have any seams. And we'll come down to the terrain category next, and I'm going to just block in the large portion of this first. And then we'll start adding some smaller and smaller details. So the first thing I want is this long flat terrain block. We're going to line it up with the edge here and drop it down and slide it over, and I want it to be half a block, about like that. underneath that big one. And then we're going to pick up this large block, which is like the one we just started with in the empty toy box. We're going to come over and put that down on half a block on that side. So this block that's in the middle is a half a block. And what I mean by half a block is the size of this terrain cube. And you can see that is half the width is the amount of overlap that I've done there. And the same thing on this side, and I'll just use this little block to kind of make sure that's the case, and it is. So that's what we've got. Now we're going to stack up a few of these to make a wall, or part of a wall along here. So I'm going to put 2 of these on top of each other, and then just for spacing I'm going to drop one of those there and another one there. So that's a total of 4 blocks wide. 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to place another one down here like this. And one more here, about a block high, like that. And then I'm going to repeat that same structure on the other side. So just like that. That creates some windows. So now as we are in this room, we have some windows basically that look out in that direction. Okay, so now we'll come down here and I'm going to pick up this long tiny terrain block. I don't know why they called it tiny. It's not very tiny. And we're going to slide this right under here. Again, a half a block under, lined up with the edge of that middle block that we put down. And I'm going to put 2 of these down here like this. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So that kind of creates a little balcony around the room. And just trying to find my shot here. Okay, so the next piece we need is the next one over. And we're going to come up here and put down 3 of these across, like that. And then we'll put 1 down there in the middle. 2 out this way. And the next size up, it's already kind of centered for us. So we're just going to drop that right there like that. And so there's the shape of our arena. We're actually going to start over here. And so I'm going to come up here and pick up the starting pad and bring that over here. And so as Mickey enters this toy box, he's going to appear out here on this platform. He'll cross the bridge and enter the castle over there. So we kind of have the beginnings of a nice arena over there. I kind of want this to be centered in here. So just like that. All right. That's looking pretty good. We got a couple of holes in the floor. So that adds some interest. All right, now let's pick up this small and thin terrain block. And I'm going to center this right up against this wall, just like that. And we'll do another one on the other side that creates a couple of little platforms there. And that is it for the terrain. That's everything we need there. Now let's come up to the blocks drawer. And we're going to need some stairs to get up on those platforms. And I want to center this on there like that. We're actually going to put 3 of these down, but before we do that, let's go ahead and style it. And since we're using the Asgard theme, I could use this, but that's a little bit too shiny. So we're going to go this direction, and we're going to use the Asgardian theme. I'll set that to be my theme. And that provides kind of a nice contrast. And looks pretty good. The user will be able to find those stairs pretty easily. And we'll put 3 of them wide going up there. And the same thing on this side, just like that. So that looks pretty good. Now the next thing, let's go ahead and add in a few details. So I'm going to come down to the blocks, or the plants drawer rather, and let me just find my screen grab here so I know which piece I'm working with. We're going to use the Fantasy Terrain Strip 2. And I'm going to place this right up here on this block up against that wall. And we'll put one on the other side as well. And we're going to use the Asgard Colonnade. And I'll hit apply. And we'll do the same thing over here. So that adds kind of a nice window there. That looks pretty good. All right, next up, we're going to use this Fantasy Terrain 4. And I'm going to place one of these right here on the corner, just like that. And for this, we'll go ahead and style that, and we're going to use the Asgard pillar. And I'll set that to be my theme, because we're going to put down several of these. We're going to put one on the other side, and then one right next to that. So just like that. And then once more down to the blocks drawer, we're going to put a couple of blocks up here like this to kind of create a little balcony. And I'm going to put one this way, and we'll put the other one that way. So it doesn't look like it's too repetitive there. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now, I think for Time's Castle, one of the things I would like, and I've seen this in the screenshots of his castle from the Alice Through the Looking Glass movie, is he has a clock here on the wall. And I would love to put a nice detailed one there, like we see in the movie, but we don't have that. What we do have, though, is up under the set pieces, I believe, if we scroll to the right, we have, let's see, where is that thing? Here it is, the MCU clock tower, and there's a clock face right on that. And so what we're going to do is come down here, and I'm going to put this up as close as I can get it, and we're going to drop it down so that that clock can be seen through that window. So just like that. So now we have a clock, which I like. Even though that brick doesn't really match. Unfortunately, I can't style that, but that's why we put this piece in here to kind of cover up some of that. So that doesn't look too bad. All right, let me get back to my screenshots here. We'll add some additional detail in here, and we'll come back down to the plants drawer. And we're going to use this Fantasy Terrain 2. And I got just enough room to tuck that back in this corner, just like that. And once again, we will style this to use the Asgard column. I'll set that to be my theme. Like that. We'll put one on either side, just like that. And I think, yeah, I had two more out over here. So I'm going to center them on here like this. And another one over here like that. And then for Fantasy Terrain 3, on the center of each of these platforms, we're going to put down a fountain. And there's an Asgard fountain that looks pretty good. Call it a floral pillar, but I call it a fountain because it looks like there's water in the middle. And I actually want it turned the other way, like that. And we'll put one down on the other side as well. That adds a nice decorative touch, I think. So I like that. So yeah, that's looking really good. All right, still in the plants drawer. Let's head over to the right. And I'm looking for the Asgard floral railings. And we'll add in some more detail here. And I'm going to put these around these holes. And we're going to actually put this around most of the railings in the toy box. That just adds some more beautiful detailing. You want to make the toy boxes as pretty to look at as you can. You don't want them to be plain and boring. We'll put one here on this corner and one on that corner, like that. And then we'll grab this railing and we'll put this down like that. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, which way we put that. And put it like that. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now one problem we have is that I could put this over here, but there's some additional details I want to put over that way, and I don't have a little partial section of railing here. So what we're going to do for this part of the toy box is we're going to come back to the terrain drawer, and I'm going to pick up this tall terrain block, and we're going to put one like this, and I'll rotate it and put another one over there like that. And we're going to kind of create a little archway here for the player to go through. And that kind of fills most of that space. And then underneath the plants drawer, we can grab these guys. And we can use that to kind of fill the rest of that in a little bit on either side of that. So that creates a nice entryway for the boss battle toy box. So I like that. And then out here, we're going to use Fantasy Terrain Corner number 2. And we'll go ahead and set that to be the Asgard Flora corner. I'll set that to be my theme. Put one over here, and we'll use this one for the other corner. The Asgard corner pillars. And there we go. So I like that. And then one more little touch. Let's go ahead and pick up this railing piece. If I can get to it. There we go. I'll pick that up, put it down, and we'll grab this Asgardian planter. And unfortunately, with its weird shape, we can't do too much with it, but I'm going to put one about like this. And we'll put the other one over here like that. So it's not exactly symmetrical, but it works. And we could even turn this one like that, just to make that line up a little nicer. Alright, so Mickey will appear here, come through the doorway, and then down here. So this is already looking really good. But I'm not done yet. we're going to make it a little bit prettier. So we're going to come up now to Building Sets Group 7 and go left. And we have these railings over here. And so what we're going to do is put down some railings around this toy box. And I'm going to start up here on this platform. That'll add a nice crowning decoration up here that I think will look really nice. So that looks pretty good. And then we're going to put some railings down here around each of these platforms. And you'll notice I haven't made this arena very big. And one of the things we're going to talk about on Friday is the fact that the boss battle spawner takes up a ton of memory. And I've seen toy boxes on YouTube and other places that have done very huge detailed toy boxes and still been able to use the boss battle spawner. But on my Wii U, that's not possible. I just cannot put down the boss battle spawner in a very large toy box at all. And so I need to limit the size of my toy box to make sure I leave enough room for that boss battle spawner. There we go. That looks pretty good. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So I find when I want to use the boss battle spawner, I actually need to design my adventures in such a way that the boss battle is in a separate toy box that is fairly small, something not much bigger than this, and with not too much detail. And you'll notice even though I'm adding a lot of detail in here, there's still a lot of empty space. You don't want a lot of room eaten up by trees and decorations and things like that. Besides which, those will get in the way anyhow when you're trying to do your battle. There we are. So that looks really, really good. And then we're going to come out here to the opening area and we'll put some railings in around here too. Just kind of make this look a little more finished. Now another thing I want to point out as well is that if you don't have the Assault on Asgard 2.0 game and you don't have access to these textures, or you don't have access to time, and you're wondering what you can do for your version of this boss battle, there are a lot of options available. Depending on what figures you have and what bosses you've unlocked, you could use Davy Jones and build an underwater theme that looks identical to this, but with different textures for the walls and floors, and for these kinds of objects, of course. Or you could do like Ronin and do a little bit more futuristic type thing. It's kind of up to you. You can basically build this exact same arena, just change up the decorations a little bit. But anyway, we're really close to having this built. Last thing I want to do is we're going to come up to the racetrack pieces, and we haven't talked about racetrack and racing in Toy Box tutorials yet. We're going to do more on that in January. That'll be the next set of tutorials we're going to talk about. But I'm going to use some of these just for decoration, because one of the things you can do, if you recall from my early tutorials, I think it was episode 2 or 3, I think it was 3, you can style these. And we have this through the looking glass terrain, which has all these really cool gears. And this middle intersection piece, if we apply this theme to that, what you find is we have a beautiful clock. And that just really fits this toy box theme that I'm building for Time's Castle. And so I like that. And so I'm actually going to build a little bit of a race track, not so much for racing, but for kind of a walkway, really. I'll set that to be my theme. I should have done that on the other piece. You see it creates all those little gears, which is just really cool. And I kind of want this to end about where that block is, and that's perfect. Just like that. So now that creates an interesting walkway, which culminates in the clock down here on the floor. And that's actually where the boss is going to appear, is right on the middle of that piece. So there we go. There's my boss battle arena. And you can look at the memory on the right. If I come out of Spark mode, you'll see the memory is very low. On my Wii U, I don't want it too much higher than that, because you'll see on Friday when I put the boss battle spawner down, that memory is going to jump significantly. So we need to make room for that, or to leave room for that. But we can do a little bit more, and one of the things I want to do is I'd like to create a few enemies for the player to battle before they battle the boss. And so as we wrap this up for today, we're almost done, but I want to put down a trigger area in here, and this will be where we start everything. So when the player walks through that archway, that will kick off the battle. And the first phase of the battle is to just fight some regular enemies. And so I'm going to put down a number of locators out here. And you can put these anywhere you want. I'm going to kind of place most of them up here, I think, by the throne room. I'm going to put down 5 on each side. And put another one over here. And I think I'm going to move this one over here. And one of the reasons I put these railings down is that'll kind of help hide the enemy generation a little bit, which will be good. Now let's go ahead and put down a couple of enemy wave generators. And for right now, we'll just put them down here to make it easy to connect all this stuff. So I'm going to put one over here. We'll put one over on the other side, over here. And then we'll go ahead and I'll do one of these. I'll leave the other as an exercise to you. But we're going to go ahead and hook up the locators. So I'm going to hook this enemy wave generator up to all 5 of the locators on this side. And you're going to do the same thing in your toy box if you're following along with the enemy wave generator on the other side. So that's 4 and one more. And it's the one over here. And then we'll come configure the wave. So we'll open up the logic menu, scroll down to the configure wave option. And underneath here, just to tie this in with the enemies that we saw in the Magician's Castle, we'll use the Dunbrock bears. And I'm going to put in a variety of these. And we're going to put in just one of every one of those. We have the memory to do this right now. So So that should be fine. And we'll take the generation delay to 0 under the properties. And you'll do the exact same thing with that one on that side. And each of those types of enemies are going to use up memory. But that's all right, because by the time the boss makes his appearance, those enemies will be destroyed. So you'll do the same thing with that one. And then the last thing we need is a dual action trigger, because I want the boss to appear after both sets of enemies have been defeated. So we'll put this one up here. And under the properties, that's all fine. So what we'll do is, let's do this in order. So this trigger area, we'll open the logic menu, do a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come over to the enemy wave generators and generate the wave. And we'll do the same thing with the other one when entered by player any. Come over here and generate that wave. And again, I haven't set that up yet, but it's the same way that we did for the other one. Okay, and then on each of these, new logic connection. When the wave is defeated, for this one, we're going to come up to the dual action trigger, and we're going to do input 1. And on this one, new logic connection, when that wave is defeated, come up here, and that will be input 2. And then the dual action trigger, when both of those inputs have been received, will be used to kick off the boss battle. And we'll do that on Friday. So that's Time's Castle. And with that, we're now ready for our final tutorial in this toy box. So be sure to join me on Friday for my last lesson this year as I finally finish my Fantasia adventure. The best way to ensure you don't forget is to subscribe to my channel by clicking my photo in the lower right corner, and make sure your notifications are on so you don't miss it when it airs. Well, that's all for me today. See you on Friday.